All right, episode 3. Time travel, baby.
Okay, so the thing is, we got a couple examples to talk about,
Yep.
but some of them are definitely a lot more like legit than others in terms of the probability of them being like real, right?
I mean, I'm gonna be
But
honest. There's only one out of the ones that we talked about that I think is real, or
well,
possibly real. The rest of them I think is just a bunch of
yeah,
people trying to get attention.
well, okay, because that one with the dude who looks like a hipster, that one I
Oh,
always thought was funny because it does actually look like a person from like today, like
yeah,
same hairstyle and stuff like that.
hairstyle,
Like
the T-shirt.
yeah, yeah. The
He's got like a
sunglasses look a
hipster heart.
little.
They look
They
like
look a little
welding
different.
glasses.
Maybe a little bit, yeah. They have that little cover on the top, but yeah, no, that's true. You're right.
The like cardigan or whatever that he's wearing looks very hipster.
The thing to me that looks very modern is his shirt because it has a logo on it, and that's super popular today. I mean, like even the shirt that I'm wearing now has a logo on it. You see
Yeah,
that all the time now. So I don't know. I think that out of all the ones where it's like, oh, it's just a picture, right? That seems most legit because there's that
yeah,
Charlie Chaplin one, but that one it's like she had something in her ear so she could hear better
yeah.
or something
So
like
I've
that.
heard. The thing is, it's like it could just be some crazy lady that has like a hearing aid type thing.
Right.
You know,
That's what I was
you
thinking.
can't
I mean,
really see
'cause
what she's got because of the way she's holding her hand up to it. So
plus, I mean, how would she use a phone back then? They didn't have phone lines.
yeah, like it would be useless. Yeah,
Yeah, so I think I mean because it's a cool thought. It'd be weird if she had a phone, but there's no way she could have used it
yeah.
even if
There's
she
no
did have
purpose of
one.
it. Yeah,
So, but the one that we're talking about is this guy. He's what was it, $800 he started out with?
yeah. He turned $800 into 35 million.
It was either 35 million or 350 million.
It was some insane number, and
Yeah.
basically the guy because they picked him up for insider trading, the FBI, right? FBI, and his claim was that he was a time traveler and he literally just went back in time to make money, and he
Yeah.
had all these tips that he brought with him. So it's
Well, the
total
thing-
Back to the Future style. But then he got out on bail and disappeared.
What stocks did he make money off of? That's the thing. Because if it's like, oh, he made money off of stocks that like nobody cared about, like in terms of, oh, he just put a bunch of stuff in like small places and had like insider knowledge. I guess if it's one company, still same thing. Like, eh. But if it was like, oh, he made that money off of Tesla, it's like, oh, that seems kind of obvious, right? Facebook, same thing. Like I could see if it was certain companies that today we go, oh yeah, those are big companies, right? Then it's like, okay,
yeah.
could be time traveler. But if it's like oh, it's Ford. Well, duh, it's Ford. What did you expect? But
Yeah, it's a weird one. I don't think I just don't think I don't know. That's the only one that I think is possible. There was some other stories that just seem like okay, the one where the guy says that he was working on a pipe under his sink, slipped through some kind of
he
rip
fell
in
into a
space,
wormhole.
and then talk to his older self. The question
Yeah.
is how to get back is my question. If he really went into this thing, he shouldn't have been able to come back.
Well, not only that, but the guy in the video that we were watching, he was like,
Bro, those he
there's-
said they had the same tattoos. Those tattoos look like they either just
Yeah.
drew them or they got them that day. Like I was like,
well,
whatever.
To me,
They're so fresh
the
looking.
thing that made it seem super sketch is the guy who was actually talking about it. He goes, "There's no way it was for a viral marketing campaign." And
Oh
it's like,
yeah, yeah.
So yeah, it probably was something like that.
Yeah.
Of course, he could have been tongue out of his butt, but for all that I know, it probably was something that was viral marketing, and then it just But I think that one where the guy invested, that's like a no-brainer. Like if you went back in time, what would you do? You'd go back and make as much
Make money.
as possible.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's like unless either that or you'd like try and stop World War II from happening or something like that. But like
Yeah, stuff
whatever.
like that always makes me think of 11/22/63. Like, when you try and go back
Yeah.
and change stuff, like, it's almost like time doesn't want to be changed. Yeah.
Well, you know, did you ever read the book?
Yeah.
Yeah. So you know why all that bad stuff happens, right?
Well, I thought it was just time fights back.
Well, no, but I mean, like, you know why? Like, even though he, spoiler alert for 11/22/63, if you haven't seen the show or read the book, he saves JFK, but the world goes to crap afterwards.
Yeah.
Okay. And I think in the show they don't explicitly say
No,
it.
the show really fast forwards through the ending. Like, the ending is like the
But-
shortest part.
Yeah, and the reason why everything goes to crap is not because JFK being president, like, it's not solely because JFK was still alive. It's because,
That
as
led
a result-
chain of events.
well, as a result of him messing with the timeline, like, it's not even just like a chain of, it's not like a butterfly effect thing. In the book, which is why I don't like the book, I think the show is way better. Him messing with the timeline causes earthquakes and terrible storms to happen and stuff like that, and so it's almost like supernatural kind of stuff where, oh, you messed with time, and so now time's gonna ruin the world because, you know, it didn't want to be
Yeah.
changed or whatever. It's not just, oh, well, JFK accelerated the Cold War to the point where we blew each other up or whatever. So
I read it a long time ago. I don't remember everything. I watched the show again recently, though.
me too. Yeah.
I mean, we could talk about that. The Stephen King is just terrible at endings. That's why.
Yeah.
He doesn't know how
Yeah,
to
well-
finish a story.
The thing is, though, the book, like, when you first start reading it, it's so interesting. Like, he has a great way of, like, talking about stuff. Like, even the part where he talks about going into, like, a diner and the food just tasting so much better. It's like, dang, man. Like, now I wish.
I want to go back to
I
the
wish I
50s, yeah.
Yeah,
Have a slice
exactly.
of pie.
Right? Yeah, and
Uh,
but then as soon as you get to the ending, you're like, what the heck was why? Like, why would you
Yeah.
even get to that point? Because I once again, if it was something where it was like JFK just launched a nuke at Russia, Russia said, we're gonna launch one back, and then nuclear war happened. If that's all it was, I would have totally understood that. But he wanted to bring in earthquakes and storms, and I don't know, I think like there was a volcano or some bull crap like that. Like, it's just stupid. So that book could have been a lot better. He did not need to make the ending like that.
like I said, he's
but I think
terrible
he-
at ending stories. That's
Yeah.
still like one of the best books he's written in a long time. Probably like a decade.
Because he wrote it. He wrote
Bro, every like scary story you've ever like, I mean, even like Green Mile and Shawshank Redemption he wrote.
Yeah.
He's wrote a lot of good
Yeah.
stuff.
Well, I would say he's like you know who Isaac Asimov is?
No.
He was an old sci-fi writer from like, I want to say the 50s. And so
That-
I would say
Dad was like
What?
addicted to reading Stephen King until like, I guess Dad says that after his car accident his books have just never been the same, so he doesn't really care for them anymore. 'Cause he was like, he went for a walk, right? And he got hit by a drunk driver. He got a brain injury. And like, I guess they said there's certain books where like you could tell his writing was just like he was on like coke or something. He was just like,
no,
it's like,
probably like painkillers or whatever. But yeah,
well, yeah, no, I'm talking about before. You could tell, like, he even said that, like,
Oh.
he's always had some kind of addiction. Like, he's always got a vice. And, like, now, you know, after his accident, it was, like, painkillers and stuff. And with painkillers, you kind of get out there. You start having, like, he wrote that one story where it's aliens and, the way that they take control of your body, but the way they do it is they're disguised as poop. And, like, they wait for you.
the heck?
Yeah, dude, they wait for you in
Wait,
the
what
toilet and they
book is
go
this, bro?
Dreamcatcher.
Dreamcatcher.
Yeah, Dad was so pissed. He was like, I got to the end of the book and and it explained that they're like turds that like hide in the toilet. You sit down and they go up your butt.
Dude, there's a movie.
Yeah. It's got good
What
actors in
the
it
heck?
too. I think Paul Giamatti. Nah, I don't know if Paul Giamatti's in that one. But yeah.
You might be thinking of
Anyways,
Lady in the Water.
Lady in the Water. It's a good movie. Weird
Um,
movie, but a good one.
Poop aliens? Yeah, this is in the reservoir's pump house. What? What the heck, man? What I just? Anyways, poop aliens.
Anyways, time
Not
travel.
a good idea. Yeah. So the thing is, okay, for starters, we talked about this before the show. I'm a little iffy on time travel. Danny definitely believes that it's possible.
Yeah.
I don't know if you want to go into more detail on that.
So I think that it's possible. I think that even if it did happen, okay, I have two ways that I could go about it. So there's a theory that aliens, right, UFOs and stuff like that,
Oh my
those are
God, of course.
time travelers, right? They're
Okay,
interdimensional beings, right? If we figured out how to time travel, like we could take a machine and just go through time, we're interdimensional beings, right? I mean, because
Oh, I think I know what you're saying. I can
Yeah.
explain it a little bit more.
because the most plausible theory is that, at least science backed, is that if you're gonna time travel into the past, then you're creating alternate timelines. It's like a river. You throw a rock into the river, it goes around the rocks, and if the rock's big enough, it splits into two. Is the way that I've basically seen it explained. So, I mean, the people, you can go to the Mandela effect and stuff like that, and people say that the Mandela effect, those are signs that we're in an alternate timeline, stuff like that. You know, like the timeline changed, and when it changed, these things that we remember as certain things are different because we're in an alternate timeline, and for that timeline, they've always been that way.
Well, because what I
It's
thought
a
you were trying to
rabbit
say-
hole.
For starters, so when they say like there's two different paths, right?
Yeah.
Usually it's like, okay, when you wake up in the morning and you're gonna have breakfast, do
You might have eggs
cereal or do
or
you have
cereal,
eggs?
yeah.
Yeah. And so if you choose cereal, there's another dimension where you had eggs.
Yeah, so in
Okay.
other words, there's an infinite amount of timelines where you chose to
Yeah.
have eggs, but then after that you chose to have a glass of orange juice or have a
Or-
glass of milk. You know, like
Yeah.
every time you make a decision, it creates a different timeline, which in theory, there's no way to prove or disprove that.
I mean,
Only if you could
mathematically,
mathematically, if you could jump to other timelines. I don't know. It's just, but the thing is like, it's one thing to jump to a different timeline, but how do you get back? Like,
well, so when they bring up the math for like the infinite universe thing, I don't know how much of this you remember from school, mostly because to me, like I use math all the time, so I kind of have to remember it. When they have like those infinite sets where it's like negative infinity to positive infinity, it's sort of like that where mathematically you would get an answer like that where it's like every single answer is technically correct. That's what it would be like mathematically, right?
yeah.
But when it comes to like the alien thing, the way that I go about that when I hear that theory is it's like, oh yeah, aliens are just us but from the future, and so they came back to see what we're like now.
Yeah, well, I mean, the way that video explained it, because before this we watched a couple videos to kind of make sure we were kind of on the same page about what we're going to talk about. You know, we didn't just go into it blind. And one of the things that one of the scientists talked about was that what was it you said? I totally lost my train of thought.
We're talking about the alien thing or what?
The alien thing or the
math thing.
no?
What
I
video
lost
was it?
the first one.
Dude,
we
you
talked about
started
a
that
lot
one
of stuff.
halfway through. Okay, so there were wormholes. There was
Wormholes. Yeah, but what were you just saying? You said something, and I tried to piggyback off of it. And I lost my train of
Dude!
thought explaining. I was trying to explain
Okay,
that
I'll
we
start back from-
watched videos before this.
So the first thing that I said was the math thing, which was negative infinity to a positive infinity. The second thing I talked about was the aliens.
I remember. Okay, so what I was going to talk about was the fact that he said that because it takes the power of like a dying star
Oh.
to power something that would be able to go from like to build a time machine, you would need like an insane amount of energy. It would be something like a dying star, and because of that, like if somebody were to come time travel and visit us, they would have to be from like a million years in the future.
Well, the way the guy
basically what he
explained it,
said.
I know what you're talking about. The way the guy explained it was not even the amount of power from an atomic bomb would be enough
Yeah.
to power a
To
time
power
machine.
this thing. And
Um,
it's one thing to be able to power it, but to be able to harness it it's so far in the future to be able to do that it would be insane. You know, like astronomically different, a different world. You know.
So, time travel is a very interesting thing to me because I think it's possible in certain ways. So the way that I think was it Neil deGrasse Tyson, yeah. Dang, that guy has a weird name. I think it was him that said it. You're all, or no, it was somebody else. But either way, you're always going to be able to travel forward in time. Okay, whether that be just by standing here and progressing 1 second forward in time, or if you say go into space, for example. People on the space station will actually be younger when they come back to Earth because time actually travels more slowly for them.
Yeah,
in space.
And what was it that the equation was like? It's 0.01 seconds per year or something. So it's negligible basically. Like you won't notice it. It's just technically, mathematically, in theory, you are, if you spent 100 years in space, your clock is a second slower, a second behind.
Yeah.
If you stay in space, which to me is a weird concept because it's like if your actual watch would be slower by a second.
Yeah.
That's so trippy, man.
But the thing is, it's hard to actually tell because you actually have to leave a watch in space for 100 years.
Why don't they do that? Why don't they take a freaking clock to space? Dude,
okay, what happened in the past 100 years that might prevent us from keeping track of scientific advancements in freaking space?
Well, I get that, but I'm saying why isn't somebody conducting this experiment already? Like,
it's too hard.
How? You just take one, put it on the space station, put it behind glass.
The space station's not going to be up for forever, dude. And
how long have we had this space station? The one that they keep like upgrading it and doing stuff to it.
Okay, hold on. When will the space station be
retired?
Decommissioned.
Decommissioned, yeah.
2028.
Damn. When was it made?
Yeah.
When was it commissioned? That's not that hard.
1998. Just 30 years. It'll be 30 years.
Damn. The new space station go popping.
They're
gonna have a party in space. Yeah. Celebrate. It blows up. That's not funny. I don't know why I think of that.
But no, because you gotta think it would be so hard to do that. Like what they'd have to do is they'd actually have to put it on the moon or something, so that it'd be way easier to keep track of.
Yeah. Well, so that's my question is like because on a planet,
Well, it's based off of the gravitation.
Based off of gravity. So if you have, what do they say? The gravity on the moon is like a third, 2/3. I can't remember.
I can check.
So would time be a third slower or whatever? You know what I'm saying?
Well, so
or 2/3.
It's 1.62 meters per second squared. The Earth, it's 9.8 meters per second squared, so it's like an eighth, maybe.
Damn. So does that mean that time is an eighth? An eighth of what it is here?
It's more like a sixth.
I was gonna say, but yeah. So does that mean that time is a sixth of what it is there, like speed wise?
Well, I don't know. The equation for it. What we're talking about is time dilation.
Time dilation.
Okay?
Yes, if you've seen the movie Interstellar, that is a really good example of it.
I think the way that it works is the more gravity there is, the slower time progresses. That's why if you were to go near a black hole, 1 second near a black hole would be like a much longer amount of time on Earth because there's more gravity with a black hole.
Yeah.
So I think it's actually time travels 6 times faster on the moon.
Faster.
I think.
Because okay, so the no, it would be because black holes the gravity is strong. So I think
and the moon is gonna be weaker.
So the moon is weaker gravity. So if the gravity is weaker, then time would be faster. This is so trippy. It's so hard to grasp.
Well, it says the rate of passing on the moon. It's different. It says this would cause clocks on the moon to run slow. What? Oh,
That's what I'm saying.
oh. Hold on, but there's also an effect because the moon is higher up in the gravitational field of the Earth than we are, which causes clocks on the moon to run fast. Well, actually, you know what? I didn't even think about that. So
There's too many factors.
no, we're dumb. We're dumb. You want to know why?
Why?
Because we're talking about
I mean, I know we're dumb, but
we're talking about the Earth, right? Okay. But what is the Earth orbiting around?
son.
The sun. Okay. The sun is probably what contributes the most to how time or progresses for us. Okay. So the moon, it definitely travels different in terms of like the time, but um, it, we would be affected more if instead of the sun, we had a black hole. Of course,
Okay.
we get swallowed up by a black hole, but it'd be a much different rate of time. It's weird. The thing is, though, at the end of the day, I still think time travel is weird because we can definitely go further in time. Like, we can go forward, but we definitely can't go backwards, at least not in the way that we talk about in the movies.
Yeah.
And you know what changed my mind big time about it?
What?
I'm gonna pull up Paint for this. I'm gonna share my screen. Tell me when you're ready.
I'm ready.
Okay, can you see that?
Yeah.
See if I can. Oh,
Yeah. Can you make it like closer? There you go.
Is that better?
Perfect. Yeah,
Okay.
that's good.
Okay. So if this is the sun, right?
Mhm.
Okay. And
Why didn't you make the sun orange or yellow? Made it red.
Well, okay, I'm sorry. Okay. You know, I'll even do this.
What the hell is that? That looks like a teat. Okay, there you go. All right.
Okay. Hold on. And so the sun, we're traveling around it. Okay. In
Okay,
an
so
orbit.
we're traveling around in an orbit.
All right. And so that means we are constantly moving, right?
Are we moving? Okay, this is kind of off topic, but are we moving? Because orbits aren't perfect. Are we moving farther away or closer to the sun?
We move in an elliptical
Farther
orbit.
away, right?
What do you mean?
We don't
In what
stay in this.
context?
Like, okay, so you got to think. They talk
'Cause
about
they're-
how planets, because of how their orbits are, they like we can see them like once every so many years, because their orbits are not perfect.
Well, yeah, because it's an elliptical
So-
orbit. So instead of it being a circle, it's more
like a
it's more
oval?
like it's more like an oval. Yeah.
Um,
Sorry,
but
terrible
but-
drawing.
but are we moving closer towards the sun or farther away, or are we just staying in the
No,
same
so-
loop?
We're staying in the same loop to my knowledge. We might drift a little bit over time, but it would take a really long
Billions of
time for that
years?
to happen. Most likely, yeah.
Well, because
but-
the farther you get away, the faster you move away from it.
Well, so for us, it's more like for example. So the reason for why we have seasons is not
That looks like an
because
egg,
of-
by the way.
It does, dude. It has nothing to do really with our orbit. It's more about like the way our planet is tilted. But like when you have spring and fall,
Yeah.
it's not quite as close or quite as far away as it is in the summer or the winter. It's weird.
Right.
But it's because of how the orbit isn't necessarily a perfect circle.
Uh huh.
Anyways, so we are constantly moving around the sun, okay?
Mhm.
But then the oh come on, whatever. So not only are
Need a
we
bigger
moving,
eraser, homie.
yeah, whatever. I got it figured out, man. Don't worry. All right. So not only are we moving around, but the sun is moving around
In its
in
own
our
orbit,
galaxy.
right?
Yeah, and it's on orbit around throughout the galaxy. So you got this huge spiral thing, whatever, blah 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 blah, right? So, in other words, if you wanted to go from 2021, okay, and you want to go from here to, let's say, 2001,
So 20 years.
right? Think about how much distance that would be in terms of space, okay? Because not only would you have to travel backwards in time, you'd have to go back to the same point in space.
Oh.
So in other words, yeah, you could probably go backwards in time, but not the same way that you would in the movies, where you end up back on Earth. You'd probably be in the middle of space, unless you
I get
got
what
the
you're
exact
saying.
coordinates. So you would not only need the time,
That
but you
blows
would
my
need
mind.
X, Y, and Z. So everything would have to be the same. Where
Oh, dude, I
you're in
didn't
the
even
same-
think about that. Like,
That-
Earth is
yeah.
not even in the same spot, dude.
Yeah, I don't know where I heard that from, but as soon as I heard it, I was like, God dang it, yeah, we're screwed. We can't do anything about that.
Well, but I mean, okay, so this is gonna sound weird, but no, I'm not even gonna say that because it's just gonna sound dumb.
I mean, you can say it, but
Okay,
I
no,
won't
no, no, it has
go
nothing
back.
to do with it. It doesn't. It's just it has to do with like space and
You're gonna
like
ask
where
about
you
it
where you're at in
expanding?
space. No, I'm just saying like it. So I asked. You know, what, I'll go ahead and say it this way. So I asked. I can't remember if it was. I think it was my science teacher.
Was it
I
Mr.
don't-
Fritz?
No, I can't remember who it was. I think it might have been Mrs. Potts. I can't remember if you do you recognize that name?
No, was it? Is this the thing about the bee?
It was about the fly. I said, so how
In the
come?
car?
Yeah.
Yeah.
The fly in the car. You remember this?
Yeah.
And she
Yeah.
didn't have an answer for me. She tried to explain it but couldn't.
I asked Mr. Fritz about that.
And what'd he say? Well, let me explain it because people are not. You
Yeah.
don't have the context. So my question was, how come when you're in a car, it was when you're in a car, if there's a fly in the car and he manages to fly in the exact same spot, like hover basically, will he hit the window or will he stay in the same spot in the car because of air and all that stuff like that? And Miss Potts could not explain it. It was beyond her middle school science teacher education. But she was not very
Yeah.
nice anyways, but
Well, the thing is, so,
it sounds
I
kind
knew
of
the answer.
stupid, but
I knew the answer before I asked Mr. Fritz.
I
But to
said,
be
why
fair,
doesn't,
when
I
I
was
heard-
like, why doesn't it hit the window? Is what I was arguing.
It does hit the window.
Yeah.
Because when I figured when he asked me that question, I think I was in freshman or sophomore year, probably sophomore year.
So my
And-
science teacher said that it wouldn't. She was like, it won't hit
It-
the window.
It will, because
Yeah.
So because what you said, and I'm pretty sure it was a bee when you told me, but maybe
It was always a fly.
it would. The idea was that it's hovering,
Exactly, yes. So
Okay.
it's hovering.
and so the car stopped, the bee or fly or hummingbird, whatever goes in there, and hovers while your car stopped, and then
And
you
then you-
accelerate forwards. Okay. The flying thing will hit the window. Oh, I'll go ahead and close out of this.
Oh yeah, you're fine, you're fine.
Yeah.
You don't need that anymore.
And so it would hit the window because if that thing is stationary, okay, it's not connected to the body of the thing that's actually moving. That's why when you're in a car,
Yeah,
right?
you're strapped to it.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's why when you hit your
So-
brakes, your body moves forward and
Right.
jerks for a second. Yeah.
Yeah. So therefore, that thing would hit the window. Okay. Which, sorry for anyone who was hoping that it would stay alive. That thing's dead. It's
Yeah.
dead. It's not coming back.
Sorry, Miss
It's
Potts.
smushed against that window. Okay. But so yeah, I asked Mr. Fritz about that. He was like, "Oh yeah, it would hit the window." I was like, "Okay, cool." The question
Yeah.
I asked him that really stumped him: what's the temperature of a black hole if light can't escape from it? Because technically, infrared,
Well,
which is heat,
but what I
is
mean,
light.
yeah, infrared is. But I mean, that's like asking. That's like I don't know. To me, that's a weird question because lights are different temperatures. It's not like there's a constant temperature for light.
No. I get what you're saying, but at the end of the day, it's the fact that all light is not going to escape from it. So
Yeah.
no matter what, any infrared light shouldn't be able to escape. So I
have
asked him.
they-
He goes,
They've
What?
detected black holes, right?
"Yeah, dude. We got a picture of one. Remember?
Yeah, some blurry ass picture.
Yeah. But when I asked him, he goes, because keep in mind, so the teacher that I'm talking about is my sophomore physics teacher.
Uh-huh.
And
Cool dude, though.
He's a really cool dude. When I asked him about it, he goes, "Yeah, I honestly, that's kind of like a college level question. I wouldn't know that." Well, I went home and looked it up that week, and there was an answer for it. Temperature of a black hole. They, and I feel like this is bullcrap. It says, a temperature of 1.4 times 10 to the negative 14 Kelvin, which is basically 0. It's 0.0000 blah 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 14 Kelvin, which is basically 0. So technically there's a temperature to it, but I don't know how they get that number. Okay.
It's
Either
all
way,
theory.
the black holes are freaking weird, and they mess with time. And
Okay,
that's the
so-
closest thing you're ever gonna get to time travel, in my opinion.
I get black holes and wormholes. I don't understand white holes, and I'll do my best, and you can correct me if I'm wrong. But a black hole, you go into a black hole, and so a black hole goes like it doesn't really have an end, right?
Well, so you got to think of a black hole like the sun, for example. Okay, it's just a bunch of mass, right? So something that doesn't have an end, they call it a hole because everything gets sucked into it.
Right. Yeah.
Like sort of like a
you
sink
fall down
drain.
a hole. Yeah.
Exactly. And so, really, what a black hole is it's just a bunch of stuff in a very tight space. Okay?
Yeah.
So, everything's in there, but it's all jumbled up. Like you put it onto a blender, the size of like a star. Right?
Yeah.
So, it's not like there's not really an end to it. It's that it's not really a hole.
Okay. And then are wormholes real, or were they debating about that in the video we watched?
I
think they were
they're
debating?
theoretical. I think they're still theoretical. Like if I look up,
And a wormhole is if a black hole and another black hole connect, right? So it's like a tunnel.
yeah. So it says
So like you can go in
Wormholes-
one end and come out the other.
yeah. So when they say like black holes and white holes, which white holes I think they're theoretical as well.
Right. And in Interstellar, they refer to one as a black hole, but it's really a wormhole because they go in and come out on the other side.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Which I still don't fully understand that movie.
I gotta watch it again. Watch it
Yeah.
again. That's a great movie though.
But so when they say white holes, what they're saying is that black holes are actually all wormholes, and then on the other side, there's everything that came in is coming out, including like the light, which is why they're white, and then all the matter that came in. Okay.
Yeah. And then
But
what's
I
a
think
white
that's
hole?
stupid. That's what a white hole is.
Wait, explain it again because they said wormhole. Did that
Yeah.
sentence.
So I said was it a black hole? There's with the theory with white
So the
holes
other
that
end of
all
a black hole is a white hole?
That's what the theory is. Yeah.
Okay. So would
So,
that
in
make
other
it
words-
one way? You can only go in one way? Can't go in the other way?
Yeah. Yeah.
So black hole. So then a wormhole would be a one-way hole, right? I mean, it would
well,
make sense that you
that's-
would be able to go back through a wormhole.
Right, exactly. That's the only way that would make sense in my opinion, is because if everything's coming out of one end and going out the other, that means there has to be so much force that nothing can go into it.
Yeah.
Which
It's like a
that makes
hose.
sense to me.
Water comes out the hose. You're not going to be able
Yeah.
to go back up it.
Yeah.
Unless you're one of those little fish in the Amazon that swims up pee streams. Dude.
I don't know if they're parasites.
It's technically a fish, I think. But they eat the inside of your pee-pee.
That would hurt. That hurts so much. Anyways, the pee-pee fish.
La
But-
pee-pee fish.
The pee-pee fish.
The
So
pee-pee fish is eating the inside of the pee-pee.
they're
Oh.
controlling me. They're controlling me. I don't think white holes and by extension wormholes could exist, because there's this thing called Hawking radiation that I told you about earlier.
Yeah, explain that
it's-
again.
So Hawking radiation, it comes off of black holes. Eventually, black holes decay, so they just sort of like evaporate almost. And it's because of Hawking radiation, just like regular radiation that comes off of pretty much everything, like uranium and stuff like that. Particles
So-
come off of it, and eventually that thing disappears.
So the black hole that I saw a picture of, they said that it was a star that died. So eventually that star dying, it's like a fire. When the fire is eventually going to go out, right? So that black hole is going to cease to exist. That's what they're saying, that black holes can pop up anywhere. You know, but like a black hole can close, and then what happens when the black hole closes? Everything in it just cease to
Well,
exist.
No, because because of thermodynamics, you can't destroy matter.
Right. So then where does it go then?
That's what
That's the
Hawking
question,
radiation is.
right? So Hawking
That's
radiation.
Yeah, because then nothing is leaving, and then the black hole can still close, right? Now when they say, "Oh, it's
That
a dying
sucks.
star," yeah, I know, because that means there's no hope.
Yeah.
So when they say, "Oh, a black hole was created by a dying star," what happens is that star explodes, and all that matter has to come together again, right?
Yeah.
And so all of it comes together, but instead of it coming together and creating fusion, all that stuff is so dense that it just comes into a really small space, and it prevents everything from leaving. It's
Yeah.
weird, because you can have a black hole that's the size of Earth, but it would probably have a much it would be much denser. There'd be a lot more mass, a lot more matter there,
Mhm.
and it would definitely weigh more than the Earth does. Probably way more than the sun does. Maybe the same as the sun. I don't know the math behind it. I just know it would be like the difference between having a chunk of lead and a chunk of styrofoam that are the same size. One can be denser than the other, but that lead, it pulls more than the styrofoam does.
Yeah.
I don't know.
So-
it's weird.
So the one thing that we can agree on, and so can scientists, is that you can travel forwards. It's just not very exciting. And then traveling backwards is where the problems come. Or like it just doesn't. It's very unlikely that you could go back in time. Because it's so hard to. And if you could, you would have to be like super advanced, like millions of years more advanced than we are.
And the thing is, with going back in time, that's where the whole idea of different timelines comes in.
That's where the alternate dimensions comes in, because it's like, even if you did time travel back in time, you wouldn't have evidence. There would be no evidence, right?
Exactly. Yeah.
Because the other thing is, like, if you travel in time, because I mean, then you could get like Terminator status, where it's like you can't bring anything with you. You have to be naked. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Which, oh, dude, you're gonna get me into teleportation as well. 'Cause
Yeah,
that's,
teleportation is another thing that they're trying to figure out, and they said that they teleported like an atom or something, right?
But no, I think it was an electron, because with quantum
Which is
physics,
even smaller than an atom, right? So
Yeah. So
how
when-
can they
when
even
people think-
detect that they did that? That blows my mind.
I don't know. I always thought that was complete bullcrap, the way that they can detect that, because I mean, there's electrons in whatever microscopes they're using. So I don't know. Well, that's a whole different thing. But with because obviously there's a way they find out. It's just that we're too stupid to understand how. So teleportation, which is technically still part of time travel, because you're just, instead of it doing time travel in time, you're doing it in space, but whatever. Okay. So for one, they say, oh well, the way they would do it is they would take it from one place, they would deconstruct it atom by atom, and then rebuild it in another place, right?
Which
But that
is
would
why
be sort of like it
Yeah.
would be like Call of Duty, right? Where you'd have the different, like, the pads.
station.
Yeah, there was different stations for it, which, I mean, that's still amazing, right? But it wouldn't be something where it would happen instant, and if you had a person go in, you're basically killing them.
Yeah, like they're not gonna. Well, and that's the thing is, like, how can you rearrange atoms without destroying them? At this,
Yeah.
like, yeah.
Which,
So-
I don't know. That's and like, okay, like I
wouldn't
have
go
3D
in.
printers.
I wouldn't go into one.
I
I'd be too worried that my pee-pee would end up on my forehead.
Yeah, exactly. So I have a couple 3D printers behind me, and I have one over there.
Yeah.
And to me, that's the closest thing that there really is to like teleportation, because you
Mhm.
can take material from one place and you can totally melt it down and take it apart and put it into
Rearrange
a
it.
filament and
Yeah.
then put it into a machine and have it rebuilt, right? That's the closest thing we have right now, and even then, it's far from what teleportation would actually be.
Yeah.
Um, but in order to actually teleport, you know, everything, right? You need to do it in one just singular moment where everything comes with, or else you could seriously run into like a bunch of problems. Okay,
Yeah.
and which sucks because teleportation would be so freaking cool, man. I would love to be able to do that, but I just think it would.
Isn't the movie The Fly? You ever seen The Fly?
Is that where the dude becomes like part fly?
Yeah, so Jeff Goldblum basically has two machines, teleports from one to the other, right? But when he does it, there's a fly inside the damn machine. So when he comes back, his atoms have been spliced with the fly, and he slowly turns into a human fly hybrid. And so he starts falling apart. It's crazy.
Yeah, and
Because it's a
I think
horror
that's-
movie, but the concept is genius, you know?
The only flaw that I see in that was he wearing any clothes when he went in?
No.
No.
Mm.
Okay.
Like I said, it's a
then-
good concept.
Then
I think
then
they're
they thought-
remaking it, by the way.
Because I was gonna say, like, if you went in with a shirt on, you'd become part shirt then.
Well, the thing is like that means like if the dude like had a crumb from a Twinkie fall on the ground as he went in,
Yeah,
like he's gonna be
I'm
part
sure-
Twinkie.
He probably had like a slice of pizza in his stomach, and so he's technically part pizza too, or whatever. But
Yeah.
But so when we talk about real teleportation, like that's actually happening in quantum physics, which once again, it's a buzzword, and I think it's stupid when people bring it up, but we've observed electrons actually teleporting from one place to another, and we can't fully explain it. And there's a bunch of stuff with that, but I almost feel like there's some logical explanation behind it. And it's just so small that we can't consistently observe stuff. Like they'll say, "Oh, well, these two atoms were entangled," and it's like, would you put a name tag on there so you could tell which one it was? Like, how do you know that those two atoms are entangled? Like, stuff like
Yeah.
that. I'm like, that's dumb. But obviously, there's got to be a way that it works. They have quantum computers, so that there's stuff that actually runs off of those theories.
Okay.
It's just
and then,
way out there.
so because we're talking about black holes and stuff like that, isn't there some facility, I can't remember where it is, but basically they're like at any moment when they do one of these tests, they could accidentally screw up and open a black hole.
Yeah, the Hadron Collider.
Yeah. What is they're colliding atoms?
Yeah, so it okay. So the way that fusion works is it's protons and neutrons and stuff like that coming
Right.
together and creating an atom. In some
Uh-huh.
cases, they get two atoms and they put them together to make a bigger atom.
Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
I think. And so that's what they're doing with that Hadron Collider. They're making stuff one atom at a time, which is why it's so dangerous because it creates a lot of energy. Okay.
Yeah, it's the same kind of energy that's created when you like an atomic bomb, right?
It's
On
what
a much
happens in
smaller
stars.
scale.
Yeah, it's what happens in stars. Because the way
Yeah.
that stars work is it's protons, neutrons, and other atoms and stuff like that coming together and fusing, which is why the sun's so freaking hot
Yeah.
and why stars in general are so hot and bright. It's because there's just so much energy there. Okay. And so they're essentially doing that there. What they were afraid of is that they were gonna put stuff together and it was going to get put in such a tight space that it would create a black hole. Now, obviously, it didn't happen, but even if that did happen, we wouldn't know because
Yeah, that's the thing is like it would happen like
Yeah.
a black hole opening and everything going into it. It would happen so fast that like we wouldn't even know. We'd be gone before we knew it happened. Our
Yeah, like,
brains
you
wouldn't have
wouldn't
the
even
time to
register.
process.
Yeah.
That it happened by the time we're zapped into non-existence, basically.
Yeah. So and that
Not a bad way to go.
that I mean, there's a website that said it's the title of it's literally like has the Large Hadron Collider ended the world yet, and when you go to it, it just says no.
Stupid.
Dude, they probably make money off of it. They probably do.
Only if they got ads on it.
I think they They probably don't actually. Never mind.
Yeah, I don't
It's
think you
funny,
get.
though.
I don't think you like. I don't think you can get anything without having ads on for internet traffic.
Yeah, I don't know.
That's why you
maybe
go to
some
all these
dudes are-
websites and like, damn it, some pop-up ad. You gotta click, to get to see what you're trying to read.
Yeah. Did you know that Best Buy has ads on their site now?
I think I saw.
Isn't that weird?
No. I mean,
Well, they're a retailer though. Are you gonna advertise some other freaking company on your site?
I think Walmart. I think Walmart
Well, it's 'cause they're
advertises
going-
their own products, though. That's
Yeah,
true.
but no, it's not like that. It with Best Buy. Yeah, it's literally other companies. Like,
Okay, this is off topic, but I always wonder because a lot of like people are like, oh well, like that company can't go out of business. They've been around forever, and it's like they actually haven't. Like, how old is Best Buy? I would guess
Well,
no.
they started
I would say like 30 years at the most.
I should know because I had to do an e-learning on it. 1966.
No way, dude.
Well, they
Best
started out
Buy's
as a
that
different
old?
company.
Okay,
Third-
see, I'm saying
yeah,
like Best
it-
Buy is a name. I don't see it being
As a name,
because the majority of big companies that we see today, like started out as something else. Like Twitch, it was Justin TV when it started.
Best Buy started. It was renamed Best Buy in 1983.
See,
Which makes
so
sense.
like almost 40 years.
Yeah.
Like it. So I was off by like a decade,
yeah.
but
Uh,
the idea that like a company like Best Buy could like go out of business tomorrow is not that crazy.
well, so for context, I work at Best Buy.
Yes.
Okay. Which, I mean, it people. I think they don't realize Best Buy is like falling apart right now. Okay.
Okay.
And
So they
For all
are.
I know, me saying that could get me fired. I don't care. I don't like the place. But
But okay, so I guess what I was saying is like that, like you have to, like, I don't know if people realize that the fact that so many people buy stuff on Amazon right now is the reason why so many companies like are uncertain about their future for like the next 5 years,
well, so
because-
they closed down a ton of stores recently.
which is the
And
first
they-
sign of like a company like not doing well.
Well, and the thing is, first off, during the recession, they almost went out of business. Okay, so
A lot
this
of
isn't the
places
first
did,
time.
almost.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and so I think now they're like a little bit more like, hey, we need to like make sure we don't have that happen again. So they definitely had a plan in place. The two things that I've heard is one, Best Buy is just gonna go out of business and that's gonna be it, or two, they're gonna get bought out by Amazon. Okay.
Bro.
I want to quickly say,
Bruh.
and I'm looking at the cameras because I want to make sure that I'm being 100% honest about this, so you guys know. I do not speak for Best Buy as a company. I don't know if that's 100% true. I don't know if what I'm saying right now is just rumors or what. It's probably just rumors. I don't know anything.
Sell Best
work
Buy. No, just kidding. Insider trading.
But
Sell.
sell.
Get it
But-
out of here.
But so they've closed out a bunch of places. The thing that I heard was that what they're waiting for is for certain stores for their leases to go up. So like the Best Buy that I work at, the actual place that they lease is at a mall, and so once that lease is up, they could just be like, all right, you guys are done, right?
Yeah.
We've had layoffs and stuff like that. I don't know how, but I still work there.
Bro.
But the things they've done is they've gotten rid of full timers and replaced them with part timers. But that makes
So
sense 'cause
everybody's
it's
part time now? Is what you're saying?
Almost. We still have a
Yeah,
couple full timers.
except, like-
and we have managers and stuff like
Except
that.
like managers, yeah.
Well, I'll tell you right now, we got rid of our manager for mobile a while back, and we still haven't replaced her. It's been, I think, at least a year, maybe a year and a half.
Bro, I mean, dude, we're so off topic right now, but
It's fine, dude. It's,
um,
I mean, it's still technically a conspiracy because we don't know for sure if it's true.
well, my conspiracy is that I think movie studios are gonna buy out the theater chains.
Why do you say that?
Because movie theaters are a failing business. It's a failing business model, and the big problem right now is that studios are like, hey, like, we would rather release it early on our platform because we know that, the theaters. I keep saying theater wrong. I know I pronounce it wrong. Theater. The theaters. I used to say theater. Theaters. That's what I used to say. Theaters. The theater.
It's like nuclear.
Makes money off of concessions. Right. They make the majority of their money from concessions. They make a very, very small percentage, like 10% from tickets or something like that.
Right.
But these studios are like, hey, why are we giving you that 10%? Which is so greedy, but it's like, if we can release it on our platform and you still have to pay for it, then what's the point, But there is a small percentage of the population that is like, hey, I love going to the movies. And I'm a part of that population of people that's like, there's certain movies where I'm like, it deserves to be seen on a big screen with the crazy surround sound, And it's like the studios are like, well, look, there's these failing business, chains that are almost looking to just be bought out, It's like, why don't they just buy their own? Like, why doesn't Disney just buy AMC? So that when you go to see it at AMC, it doesn't matter. They get the money anyways.
Yeah, and not only that, but what they could even do is...
And then they make the money from the concessions.
For example,
see what I'm saying?
Disney, they could
all the money, baby.
Well, so what they do is they could have theaters that are specifically for Disney stuff. So like Marvel, Star Wars, just Pixar stuff. Like
that's way
only their
okay. That's
but that's
a little too far for me.
Well, because I think that'd be cool though. Because imagine if it was like you have movie theaters that are Disney themed.
No, cool. That's what I'm saying. I'm saying like AMC is now Disney AMC.
Or like Fox, whatever. Or is Fox part? Fox isn't part of Disney.
Fox is part of Disney now. That's been a thing for like a year.
Are you freaking serious, bro?
Dude, spoiler alert! In WandaVision, they brought Quicksilver from X-Men, the actor at least.
Yeah,
because it's like a TV show. Yeah, they basically replaced him on the show because the guy who played him in the movie had nothing to do with it. But it was like the first time they took an actor from a Fox version of it and put him in a Disney version. So it was pretty cool.
I thought it was Sony that does that. Is Sony part of Fox?
No, Sony's its own thing.
Yeah, but Sony made those X-Men movies, isn't it? Or was that Spider-Man?
Spider-Man. Sony owns Spider-Man. They own that individual property. And Fantastic Four. They own Sony and Fantastic Four.
Four Stick.
Bro, that was a good movie. It's just the way it was executed and the way that it just went downhill. But anyways, time travel. I think it's possible. It's 100% possible to go forwards. To go backwards, possible in theory. Just there would be no proof. Very, very, very difficult. And maybe aliens or time travelers.
When it comes to going back in time, the whole thing of having no proof, I think, for example, 11/22/63, right? If you go back in time and you save JFK from being assassinated, right? That would create its own separate, alternate universe. And so
its own timeline.
Yeah, its own timeline. Yeah. And so that's really the most plausible explanation for it. But other than that, I think time travel, at least to the past, is not
possible
at all. Yeah.
I'm saying plausible, not likely.
I think
it's a cool concept though.
I think it'd be easier to go to a different universe, to an alternate universe, to a different timeline, than to travel backwards in time.
Yeah.
To get to that timeline, because if we can, it's hard to sort of get enough energy to go backwards, but I'm pretty sure it really wouldn't be that difficult to just jump over to a different one to see what would happen. But going backwards, I don't know about that.
Okay.
Yeah, I think that sums things up pretty well.
Yeah. We'll see you for the next one next week. I'll do another poll. I think I'm gonna replace time travel with JFK, and I have a feeling that one's gonna win. We'll go back. Dude, we'll check and see. Because that's an interesting one. Okay. Tell me what you think about this one, because this one, it's not as crazy as JFK, but DB Cooper.
That would be cool, but I don't think it'd be a very long.
I think it would be a short one. Yeah, it'd be like a half-hour one. So we can save DB Cooper for like when we don't have very much time and it's a last-minute thing or something, just to get it out. But yeah. Thanks for listening.
Yeah. See you guys next time.
Peace.